guys, welcome to a game called, I think it's Amber, if I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called, but anyway, this is supposed to be like a cutesy little game, as you can see with this little anime character and the plushies, all the little uniform. They all look very sad, except for this one. He looks just, I don't know if you can see it, but he just looks creepy as fuck. Anywho, the purple one down here, I don't know if my mouse is showing it, but anywho, very explicit pose right there. Oh, I can go full screen. Let's go full screen with this. Hey guys, did you miss me? Of course you did. Anywho, I set the full screen, blah blah blah, you know, all that good stuff. But anyway, let's get right into it. Amber. English. Did it say MILF? It said MILF. It was 7 p.m. on that beautiful yet cold autumn day. The wind shook the frail trees, branches across the street. Oh, nice. Oh, space. Cool. Move my mouse all the way. Ah, it doesn't go all the way. Okay. Tristan Mallory made a slow, tired way. The low wind of leaves caught his attention, and he stopped to contemplate them for a few minutes. A spray of colors danced around him. Fragrance of red, oranges, yellows spread at random, forming a mosaic. Sorry. It stretched on for as far as the eye could see endlessly. It was rare beauty, that gray and fuming city, in that noisy metropolis constantly exhaling bad air. Coming back to his senses, the 30-year-old man shook his head. Now wasn't the time to be daydreaming. He had to go home. The long day weighed on his shoulders. But if he was honest with himself, work wasn't the most tiring thing in his life. Since honest, well-paid work was somewhat of a luxury these days, like any model employee, he consciously accomplished every task handed to him, and he did no more or less than what was asked. No, what was destroying him was a complete different form of fatigue. An appalling and crushing solitude that had been shadowing him for years, ever since his wife. The light tinkle of the front door opening brought him back to earth. He was already at his flat. A sad and mute living room sat waiting for him in morbid silence. Goosebumps traveled down his spine as he entered the room. Driven by desperation, he didn't even take the time to hang his coat correctly, but began slamming all of the doors, one after the other. Each time the same emptiness answered his pleads, he felt a rising dread within. His last hope was the last door in the forbidden room beyond. He opened it slightly and peeked inside. Of course, there was no one. He fell heavily onto the sofa. The crushing solitude came back in full force, crushing him again and again, wounding his face with invisible cuts. The cuts of time. It was happening again. All of a sudden, Tristan Mallory felt exhausted. He held his head in his hands and stared at the floor for long minutes. I've never heard that saying before. For long minutes. Anywho, then, after what felt like an eternity, he got to his feet. He moved together all of the framed pictures that had been on the furniture and stowed them away in a closet. They needed to be out of sight. When he was sure that there were no more pictures to put away, Tristan put his coat back on and went outside. It was cold, a bit dark, but there was still enough light to see by. It was the ideal time to take a walk, at least that's what he would have thought. As he hurried along the sidewalk, the 30-year-old man was anything but relaxed. Nervously, he walked around her most familiar... Are you fucking kidding me? I can't go back. Well, I can do this. I can save. Anywho, while passing a park near his house, he heard a high-pitched, almost inaudible plea. His heart jumped and he stopped. While passing a park near his home, he heard a high-pitched... It's the same thing, just different. In the dim light of the setting sun, he made out the silhouette of a little girl sitting on a swing. With her head bowed, tears rolled down her cheeks. Afraid of startling her, he made his way toward her slowly and looked at her. Her clothes were crumpled. She had neither coat nor scarf, and there were scratches on her hands and arms as if she had been in a fight. The park was completely deserted, and she seemed to have been there for a while. For a second, Tristan Mallory felt the urge to leave her there to whatever fate lay in store for her, but then he mentally chastised. Sorry, my English is terrible. Chastised himself. He couldn't do that to a child. So he knelt in front of her and asked in a soft voice, "Is something wrong?" At first, the little girl seemed not to hear him. She choked on her sobs, hiccuped, and shuddered. Slowly, Tristan Mallory stroked her hair and repeated, "Why are you crying? What happened?" It took long minutes for her to calm down enough to speak, but eventually, with a faint voice interrupted by sobs, she wiped at her tears and answered him. "I don't know. I think I've lost something important. Really important. If my memory was correct. But I can't remember what it was." Tristan Mallory sighed, feeling a mixture of compassion and pity. She seemed so lost, so vulnerable. He wanted to hold her so tightly, her sadness that her sadness melted away. And at the same time within him, a voice was telling him that he shouldn't be too forceful, he shouldn't take advantage of her weakness. So he tried to not lose face, to look reassuring, yet in front of this sad little girl, he did not feel self-confident at all. "Are you all alone? Where are your mommy, daddy?" "I don't know." "Do you live far from here?" "I don't know." "What's your name?" "Amber." "Well, Amber, you can't stay here out in the wind, or you're going to catch a cold. And you don't want to get sick, do you?" "No, I hate being sick." "See? You've got to go warm yourself up somewhere. The night's getting close." "But I don't know where to go." "In that case, what do you think about going over to my place? It's not far away from here, and it'll make a much better sleeping place than this one." Amber seemed weary at first, but then she had no other choice but to follow him. He gently reached a hand to her, and for the first time she lifted her eyes. They were washed out, blurry with tears, and hesitant. He thought it a good idea to show her a smile face to appear to be a reassuring adult. Even with the fatigue, he caught her fine and frail hand and helped her get to her feet. Oh, so that's what she looks like. Okay. Well, she has amber eyes. I guess hence the name Amber and the story being called Amber. Oh, sorry. Yawn. The young girl's steps were wobbly and weak. She had probably not eaten all day. He held her hand, making sure she wouldn't trip. The 30-year-old man removed his coat and shut the door behind him. "Make yourself at home. I'll cook you something." Passing through the kitchen, he turned on the light in the living room so his flat would look less gloomy. It's flat. Am I just that bad at English, or do I wonder what his flat would be? I thought maybe when it said earlier in the story that maybe he like fell like flat, like maybe because it said sofa afterwards. And I thought maybe he fell flat on the sofa or something. Oh well. While roaming through his fridge looking for a good meal idea, he stole several glances over the counter. And in the living room, Amber was still walking around, a bit wild, still on the defensive. She explored the new environment by looking around, admiring the ornaments. She didn't find much to pique her interest. It was a bland house, almost too bland. There were no clues about the occupants' lives. Taking advantage of Tristan's being distracted by a packet of noodles, she escaped to the hallway and tried to find the bathroom. She found it quickly enough before returning to the hallway that she noticed that all the doors were wide open except for one. She was drawn to that doorway even before she had time to think. Intrigued, Amber felt magnetically attracted by the slightly open door. Just one peek was all she wanted, but she couldn't see anything through the crack. Was this Bluebeard's cabinet? I guess it's supposed to be like Blackbeard's locker. I don't know. A frightening tomb where Tristan Mallory stored the corpses of his former wives? The little girl pushed the door open, entered the room, and switched the light on. Oh. It was a bedroom with soft cushions, filled with plushies. A big bed proudly thrown to the corner of the room was accompanied by a pretty dresser table to the side. The walls were painted to look like a bright blue sky. The storage furniture, coordinated with the sweet colors of trinkets, were overflowing with mysteries. On the nightstand, she could catch a glimpse of a nightlight shaped as a cute mascot. There was a fairy-like ambience around the strange moon, so that Amber couldn't repress a little exclamation of surprise. Closing the door, that 30-year-old would discover her hiding spot. She stretched out on the colorful bed, rolled into a ball, jumped about, and snuck under the bed sheets. For an inexplicable reason, she felt at ease and worthy of a princess. Seemed to have built her to correspond to her every fantasy. Then she noticed a big teddy bear which seemed to stare at her. Immediately she grabbed it, hugged it, and covered it with kisses. Her pale face was illuminated by a wide, pure, innocent smile, a child's smile. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Tristan Mallory finished cooking the noodles. He was about to serve the meal when he noted the absence of the little girl. Slightly worried, he called to her. Amber, where are you? Nervous, he looked after her in all the rooms, checking to see if she was in the bathroom. He searched everywhere in the house until there were only the entry door. It makes some noises when it's opened. I would have heard it if she had left. Could she be in there already? What? Where did she get like the pie? Was that cake? She's having a tea party, I can see. With a contrite sight, he headed towards the forbidden room and found Amber playing with stuffed animals. His gaze softened. I suppose that I couldn't do anything, he thought to reassure himself. Without a word, he went to sit next to her. On the bed, the little girl moved the stuffed animal's hands while making them speak in her weak voice. She was narrating a stuffed animal tea party and seemed to be enjoying herself. The light was back in her eyes. Suddenly, she got mad at a plump cow and scolded her harshly. You may notice there seems to be like a strudel on the plate over there. How long has that been sitting there? Or is it supposed to be like a prop, like not actually there? Anywho, back to the story, I guess.
Sturdy, stop it right now. You're making a mess. Allie, what did I just say? It's dirty. You've got to behave yourself.
Excuse my throat. I can't do the high pitched.
And don't roll on the floor. You shouldn't make a fuss just because you didn't get what you wanted.
As punishment, she set the cow in the corner, ordering her not to move before replacing her with a pony with long eyelashes. The stuffed animal tea party hosted by the blue monkey was of the obviously not going as planned. The 30-year-old man eyed the little girl's every move with care. She finally noticed his presence. He felt he had to speak. Are you having fun?
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a bedroom like this in your house. Whose room is it?
It was my wife's favorite room before she left.
What happened to her?
It's a long story. Maybe I will tell you another time. Meanwhile, the meal is getting colder. Do you want to eat?
Of course! What do we eat?
Bologna sauce with pasta. I've actually tried bologna sauce. It's actually, it's like bolognese sauce. It's not that bad.
Great, I love it!
That evening, Tristan Mowrey admired Amber as she wolfed down her food. He felt half amused, half distracted. Seeing her so happy soothed his heart a little bit, but at the same time.
Are you tired?
Wait, is she saying that as well? The child asked, oh, no.
Are you tired?
The child asked suddenly with a serious air. A little. I worked hard today. She said, I started saying that. She said nothing. Still amazed by the princess' bedroom, she revived the topic with starry eyes.
Do you like it?
Yeah, a lot. I wish I had a similar room. If you want, I'll give it to you. They're just lines now. Okay.
Really?
My wife left a long time ago. Her stuff is still inside and I don't use it, so if you like, it's yours. You can stay in her room while I'm looking for your parents and what you lost. What do you say?
Can I really? But it doesn't belong to me.
There's nothing sadder than a house without life, isn't it? I know that my wife loved to rest in her favorite room. There she felt at ease, like on a cloud, but now, she's not living here anymore. You seem to like this place, so I think it would make her happy to know that her bedroom is in good hands.
And now I can do whatever I want in it?
While I'm at work, you'll be able to play in this room as much as you want. I'll leave you some leftovers for the lunch. You'll only have to heat them up in the microwave. In the evening, we'll play together if you'd like.
Do I need to go to school?
Uh-huh. No more school, only games. Oh, And I said,
Yay, great then!
In front of Amber, overflowing enthusiasm, Tristan Mowrey couldn't help but smile faintly, almost pitifully. Yes, that's indeed. He kept telling himself, as if to reassure himself, all I'm doing is keeping her around until she remembers who she is and what she's lost. Waiting for her to remember. Thus began their strange routine. Tristan Mowrey woke up early in the morning to go to work, but before leaving and rushing into the fog, he had to take a few minutes of preparation to face the daily grind. A few brief minutes on the threshold of her door, gazing at the sleeping Amber. Then he ran away through the streets covered by dead leaves, escaping far away toward the mountains of paperwork, toward the baleful tower furnished by vast offices. The slaves changed to their computers, toiled away for the lord of that place. Anyway, that was what the little girl thought his working day looked like. As for her, she woke up easily around 9 a.m., and her first reflex was to stretch and yawn in front of the cartoons with a bowl of cereal in hands. She followed her favorite heroines, adventures. All of them were beautiful and courageous. All of them were friends for life. Princesses with elegant superpowers covered with light effects and flower petals. That sounds like a big reference to Sailor Moon. Rich in love, they lived the perfect and viable existence, especially the main character who owned a bedroom very similar to Amber's. It was colorful and filled with cute accessories. However, this room was only a part of a bigger palace furnished the same way.
How I would would like to live in a castle as well.
With their cute friends, the heroine hunted the villains, fell into traps, and called for the help of the charming prince, an ideal and fantasied man who served her hand and foot. Life seemed easy, full of laughs and adventures. All that was needed was to send back the nasty woman to her hiding place in the darkness. After all, she was nasty because she envied the young, dazzling girls. Nasty because she was old and disillusioned. Amber would have loved to have magical powers, allowing her to make cute outfits appear, allowing her to have a stable where unicorns slip, allowing her to have a ballroom where she could organize extravagant parties based on beautiful dresses and cupcakes. You cannot forget about the cupcakes. It was always really disappointing for her to see the end of the episode. Of course, there were other programs, but the story with the magical jewels was her favorite one. When the cartoons ended, she went to fill in her coloring books, daydreaming about being among those heroines, and then at midday, she heated up the leftovers that Tristan had left and went back to watching TV. New programs awaited her. Again, she had her favorite, the one where a little girl owned a puppy that was different from the others. It was a red puppy who could sneak around. It was very adorable in its big eyes and its comical expressions that it made her melt. That sounds like a reference to Clifford the Big Red Dog.
I would like to have a dog that cute.
The meal passed quickly to the rhythm of opening songs that she knew by heart. It's usually a time when Tristan called to make sure everything was okay. She never missed the opportunity to tell him the content of the episode of the days, how the heroine had defeated the evil witch with her magic mirror, and how the little dog had helped her mistress at school, and so on. Relieved, he would start eating his sandwich without appetite, sated more by the little girl's words than by his meal. She satisfied with her story. Then, after the last cartoon, turned off the television to rest in her big bed, surrounded by her stuffed toys. Usually at this time, she read a fairy tale. She loved to tell herself the story of Cinderella again and again while sucking her teddy bear's ear. It was her favorite. People in life itself were nasty with She had to work hard. It was exhausting. She had to earn her every meal, and the nasty, ugly sisters believed themselves superior. Fortunately, the prince recognized the heroine's natural talent. She was pretty, and she was special. He brought her with him to his castle to live a golden existence, where she wouldn't have to work her fingers to the bone, where the money flowed freely, where Cinderella could have everything she wanted, including all the things that shone: accessories, dresses, cupcakes. All she had to do to fill time was to organize parties with her friends. Ugly sisters were not involved. They were too ugly, too rude, and they did not deserve such a paradise because how ugly they were. Cinderella was happy. She lived in the manner of the only real or true love, the kind of love with gilding and glitter. For what more could she ask? Amber fell asleep happy, hoping to meet her charming prince one day. She dreamed of the one who would only have eyes for her and would give her a room like the one the princesses that she admired so much had. She opened her eyes. The little girl rushed again into the living room to watch a Disney film. Depending on her mood, she chose one with animals or one with a couple who lived happily ever after. Often she watched Snow White or The Little Mermaid. Amber loved the idea of a glass coffin containing a body which would not grow old despite death, but that would remain always young and beautiful, lying in wait for the magical kiss that would free her of her prison, changing the course of her story and spiriting her away from the common hut of proletarian dwarves, who, while friendly, were also rough. She loved it, just as she loved the idea of a beautiful and rebellious mermaid swimming through the ocean's looking for treasures, but sacrificing her freedom for the man in her life about whom she had fantasized 1,000 times. The beautiful and rebellious mermaid never listened to anyone, which reminded her of her own condition. She too was a sweet and caprice. I don't know. I never excelled in English. A young woman. She played these movies in a loop day after day until snack time came. By then, tired of their idyllic images, she dug into sweets that Tristan bought her. Cupcakes, colorful macaroons, pastries, bread, and Nutella! Of course, she ate in front of the television. There were cartoons at this time as well. As it was getting late, she finally pushed the off button to resume her fantasies elsewhere in her room, loading her dolls with skills perfectly depicting the course of her dreams. But the high point of each day was surely when Tristan finally returned from work. She knew he was there from the creaking of the door. She would rush into the living room and all joyous she would throw herself at him, timidly at first, then with more enthusiasm over the weeks. She loved being carried on his shoulders, to mimic the airplane and to fly through the flat until they crashed on the bed laughing. Playing together was so much fun. With her friends, she could give life to her characters more easily, her favorites, playing Mommy and Daddy. Amber took the role of the mother, and always took good care of the well-being of her child. A PVC doll with red eyes, supposed to embody an adorable little baby. She washed him, changed him, cuddled him, and gave him his bottle. Tristan had the role of the father. He had to read the newspaper in the kitchen while waiting for his wife to cook him a good meal, role which hardly got him involved, but he was very well satisfied with that. Amber took her task very seriously. She had the lead role after all. Therefore, she served her imaginary husband with plastic fries and fruits with a bossy pound. He appreciated the gesture. And I think this is where we will call it a day. This is a fun little game. I'm gonna save it right here. Yep, I can. But we will have to restart from the next one. Thank you guys for all watching. Leave a like if you liked the video. Do not forget to subscribe. And leave me suggestions for other games. I like these little visual novels, but they do play a toll into my voice. I was gonna do Voices of the Sea again, but my save file got deleted, and I don't remember all the decisions I made, because I think your decisions base on how the story goes. But anyway, I might play this next time, possibly. Yeah, it's a free game on Desura, so go ahead and check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!